Rocking the Aang avatar look. Oh, it's called? Go. Okay, so I'm gonna make this video quick. I've recently spent the past couple of days unconditioning myself from food. You see, when I last did my dry fast, I spent about 2 weeks unconditioning myself for food for the first time. And throughout this process, I didn't refrain from eating a certain amount of food. I just chose to do what I call conscious eating. And I had a friend over not too long ago, and I taught her the process of conscious eating because I noticed how she was just backing orange juice as fast and as quickly as she possibly could, humanly possible. And so, well, have you ever actually stopped to think about what it is that you're tasting and really focus on the taste, the flow, the coldness, how it moves down the throat? Isolate the parts of this experience that you actually really enjoy and just focus on that whilst you're drinking it. And what happens is that part of your subconscious mind that craves that aspect of that food, of that practice, becomes fully satisfied because you're honing in on what it is that it wants to experience. It's like the soul now has the ability to experience the food in full, rather than you just splitting apart your attention at, little things that taste good, or you're drinking it so fast that you're not giving your soul enough time to really appreciate the food. She tried it, had a few sips, and she put it back in the fridge. She didn't even know, she didn't even catch herself putting it back in the fridge. I had to stop her and say, "Do you notice how you just put it back in the fridge? You haven't even, decided to continue drinking the drink." She was like, "Oh yeah." So when you do this, food lasts a very long time. I was doing it in the Bahamas, and I noticed how a liter of orange juice was in the fridge for like the entire month. So it's just one of those things, when you start to recondition your view on food, it's because you're paying attention to what food actually is. And when I was doing the 6-day dry fast, before I got to that point, I had to really sit down and think about what I was thinking subconsciously, on a subconscious level, towards food. A lot of it was emotional connection. I noticed that when I first started water fasting, and I first started juicing for like the first time back in 2012. But as the years went by, as I started to continue this practice of psychologically evaluating my mind, my thought process whilst eating or even smelling food, I'm starting to figure out more and more and more when it comes to what kinds of attachments people have towards food, more specifically myself, and how, although some processes of thinking, when I just figured it out back then, was enough for me to stop eating for a long period of time, I'm still finding out new things nowadays which are only further validating my points within the past. Okay, so for example, today I decided to pick at my, right here I've got a box, I'll show you guys some other time, but in this box, it's a black box, it's full of 2-liter jars of fermented foods. Now when you ferment foods, you basically populate, you colonize, you farm, in a sense, bacteria, the good bacteria, because your body has a lot of bacteria. Matter of fact, your bacteria in your body outweigh your cell count by 10 to 1. So you've got a lot of bacteria in your body, and it helps the functionality of the processes in the body. It helps the blood do certain things, the immune system do certain things. Not only that, but you've got a healthy amount of bacteria in your intestinal tract. Your intestinal tract is responsible for creating up to 80 to 90% of the serotonin in your body, which means that happy feeling that you'll feel most of the time, it's coming from your gut, or it should be, if you've got enough gut flora or gut microbes within your intestinal tract, okay? So if you've got depression, it's probably because you're lacking in, they call it probiotics, these proactive biotics, these little tiny microbial critters, which help you out. If you're lacking in those things, you need to start eating some more fermented foods. Not only that, but of course it stops certain things like arthritis and other issues, ailments that deal with chaotic cells, which don't know what to do because they don't have their buddies to support them, be that the bacteria. Okay, now this video isn't on bacteria, but I'm just emphasizing why I'm eating these foods. Because I've recently, among unconditioning myself again, I've been practicing little short fasts, dry fasts, intermittent fasting, distilled water fasts. And when I get to that point where I start to feel way too dizzy, or when I start to feel too detoxy, well then I'll slow down my heart rate, and I'll actually literally decrease my blood pressure just by thinking about it. It took me some time to do. I actually learned how to do that after I learned how to stop my heart on purpose. First I learned how to stop breathing by accident. Through meditation I had to stop breathing. And then I learned how to stop my heart. Okay. Now I can slow down my blood pressure. And that gives me an extra few days when it comes to me not eating or drinking anything, because now I can get up really fast without getting dizzy. So I'll get to that point where I have to do something to slow down the detox symptoms if I have to be able to do certain things throughout the day. And that's when I'll pick up my fermented foods. But as of late, I've only been picking up my fermented foods because I've packed them too much. When you pack the jars too tightly with too much food, they tend to explode, they tend to leak everywhere, they tend to hiss, and it's really annoying. If you get, or give, better put, about 2 inches of space within the top of the jar, you're fine. Anything less than that, like half a centimeter, and you're going to have leakage issues within the jars when you ferment foods. So what I've been doing is, because I've been excessively putting too much in there, I've been nipping at it to get rid of it. And as I was doing that, I started to realize further and further levels to my conditioning when it comes to me being addicted to food. More so, the addiction is to the past. You see, the first conditioning I fixed ages ago was by conditioned to chips. Now, chips in the UK are chips, right? They're spuds. They're the potatoes that have been fried or put in the oven. But in the USA, short abbreviation US, they are fries. Okay? Now, I know most of my audience is from the US, so I'll just call them fries from now on. Before, I used to be addicted to fries because of the emotional attachment to my mum. Whenever we would go swimming, she would give us each on a polystyrene little tray, me and my brother, some fries, and it would be £1, right? 99 pence. And then she would smother them in tomato ketchup. Some salt, not too much, because I wasn't really into salt back then, but some salt and some pepper. And we'd eat that, and then we would feel sick when we go swimming. But the reason as to why I loved fries was because it wasn't the fact that I was eating the fries, it was the fact that they were given to me by my mum. It was the emotional attachment. And just that logic alone was enough for me to say, well, what's the point? And I put the chip down. And that was the main blockage, which was stopping me from really not eating for a while, because I wanted to get back that emotional connection to my mum. So what I did was I just started talking to her more often. Problem solved. And that's what got me through those 6 days. Just that knowingness. But today I did something different. I have a jar full of fermented jelly coconut. Those of you who know what that is, jelly coconut simply has the same texture as egg. And I was a big egg guy back in the day when I used to do bodybuilding and everything. I used to love fried eggs. Better put, I used to love the activity of frying eggs with my brother, twin brother, eating them with my friends in the breads and the bacon and everything. I loved it because of the connection with my friends, my brother mainly, and because of what it could give me, fantasizing about having big arms like Arnold Schwarzenegger or a huge chest, right? But, today I was eating the jelly coconut and I was tasting the very strong vinegary taste that comes with fermenting food, and it threw me back to the chips. And I was thinking about the chips, and I thought, what if my mum wasn't there? What if everyone at the dinner table wasn't there and it was just the chips? And I literally, within my mind, just erased them. And I just had the taste of chips. It tasted disgusting. It was dry, hot. It wasn't even moist. It was horrible, right? And there was no reason, logically, for me to even want to continue eating the chips, or even partaking in taking on that vinegary mouth. I didn't want that anymore. It was just the connection. So that was difficult. The vinegar one was really difficult because it was hard to isolate the vinegary taste without feeling emotionally connected to the environment, the people, and the memories that kept coming one by one. Next was the eggy texture, that elasticity, buoyancy texture, you know. I was eating it, and as I was eating it, first I outweighed the emotion, the emotional attachments. When I turned vegan, I didn't like eating eggs because I could taste the fact that it wasn't actually food. I could taste the fact that it came from an animal, and that kind of deeply unsettled me. Not even kind of, that unsettled me for a while actually when I was converting. And I converted for specific reasons. I'll talk about it soon on my YouTube channel. It wasn't because I love animals, it was for health reasons. But as I started eating more live foods, more plant-based foods, very quickly my body distinguished what was living food and what was dead food. So I ate the egg and it started making me feel sick because of the logic behind it, of where I knew where it came from, and I could taste everything. Not only that, but I studied egg yolk. I studied the biology behind what actually goes into making an egg whilst it's in the chicken. And emotionally, that created a new state of being within me. It's like I created more emotional content, which was completely different from the emotional content which was attached to eating eggs when I was connecting to my family members or my gym buddies or my brother. Okay, so now I've got this outweighing, scale tipping kind of feel to what was going on internally within my body when it comes to the attachment to eggs, and that was enough to make me stop eating eggs, you know. But today something else happened. I said to myself, what if I just erased my friends within my head? What if I let myself observe the memories, and then as they come up, I'll just erase the emotional attachment in regards to what I'm seeing in the memory, their presence, and just have the taste and the texture of egg. Okay, so I'm eating this coconut and I'm tasting egg, which is weird, in my mouth with vinegar, and I don't like it. I think about the animals, right? But then I think to myself, okay, well, let's get rid of that emotional attachment too. We can't be biased here. You know, everything needs to be fair. So I erased my memory of just for a moment, of where I knew these things came from, what animals even were, and I just sat with the taste and the texture. Straight away, it wasn't appealing to my body at all. To me, being me, the body, me, the consciousness inside my body, I didn't like it. And the reason as to how I can erase memories every now and then and just put things on pause is because of my ego death experiences, where you can literally erase memories and enter altered states of consciousness. I do that through meditation, through astral projection. But you can see how I'm using these mindsets to help further my development here in other areas of my life. So really, it's pretty cool that I could do this, and it's really beneficial because it gives me the opportunity to be non-biased and to really just taste what's going on and see if I actually like it. 10 times out of 10, I didn't. I realized that not even crunchy vegetables were appealing to me anymore, and that happened to me today. And that was kind of a remembering, because that also happened to me when I did the 6-day fast. Before I did the 6-day fast, I ended up re-entering that mindset again, having the same epiphany again. And that does actually happen. Epiphanies don't just happen once, you know? So I eat a banana, and I'm eating the banana, and I erase the fact that I think that it's good for me. I erase all of the conditions, and as I'm eating it, non-biasedly, I'm thinking, this is dry, this is gross, it's way too sugary, I don't like it, why am I even eating sugar? And then in my head, I said, why am I eating a plant? Now, to a lot of you, that may contradict a lot of what you know about being a vegan or eating fruit and veg. And I didn't mention this in my last fasting vlogs because I didn't want people to become so uncomfortable that they start fighting me on this, because when you turn normal, so to speak, and you uncondition yourself from food, how you perceive food, how you view things truthfully, it starts arguments. It's very different. So I kept a lot of knowledge to myself when it comes to me deprogramming myself from food, but I'm going to be more lenient here. I thought to myself, okay, why am I eating a plant? It made no sense to me at all as to why I was eating it. And then I remembered the fact that when I was last dry fasting, the only thing that agreed with me logically and physically and emotionally was fresh air and water. It got to the point where I was drinking distilled water, but then the fresh air actually woke me up. It gave me spring in my step. It actually got me out of bed just to breathe. Breathing made me feel really good. It's like if you hold your breath for 3 minutes, you feel like you're going to die, right? Well, imagine every breath you're taking is making you feel awake and alive. So, a lot of people ask me, Ryan, are you a breatharian? And I deliberately didn't answer them because it's complicated in the sense that breatharians, they go through a process where they uncondition themselves, because technically everyone should be a breatharian if you're not conditioned by what society calls food at all. And this goes for vegans, this goes for anyone on any diet. If you're completely unconditioned, then technically you're not a breatharian, you're more of a liquidarian, because you breathe in up to 1 liter of water, I believe it is, the last time I checked, and you expel 1 liter throughout your breath, okay? So you can keep peeing, and you'll keep peeing, and that will keep happening, because you're always taking in water, moisture. The fact of the matter is, though, guys, is that when your body becomes so toxic, it cannot maintain a high level of breatharian health, because you feel too crappy. So the reason as to why I started deconditioning myself from food was because I need to get my body to a point where I'm not so toxic, and I'm doing pretty good at that. I'm doing a very fine job. I've changed certain things within my environment. I even saved up a bunch of money and learned how to work better so that I can move to my own place specifically for this. That's why I moved further north where the air is cleaner. Okay, I had this plan in my head set in motion for my first fast. Remember I was talking about how I just wanted to leave and give up YouTube and just live outside? Well, I've gotten closer to that, And one more thing before I close down. I know it's been 19 minutes, but I also made some, what would you call it? Sweet potato, turmeric, ginger, ferment. And as I was eating that to make space in the jar, funny thing, it triggered a taste within my mouth, which took me straight back to when I was a kid at the sweet shop, eating a bunch of sweets. Mainly I think you guys would call them the sour pops. They're basically like chalk sweets, and they're purple and blue, and sometimes white. And you bite them, and they're all chalky in your mouth, and they just taste like straight sugar, And as I was really eating the top of the fermented food, I thought to myself, okay, let's do it one more time. Let's get rid of me running to the shop, being with my brother, with my little dreadlocks, 5 years old, eating a bunch of sweets. Let's get rid of that emotional connection that I had with him and my friends in school, the vending machines, and just experience what's going on in my mouth. So I put that on pause, and I just experienced sugary nonsense, which overwhelmed my senses and didn't taste good. I thought, why am I eating this? There's no point. And that's where I'm getting to, guys. Why? Why are you eating? Because if there is no why, then are you hungry? The answer is no. Like, what hunger actually is, isn't what we've been taught to believe. Really, we're just being thrown into the past all the time, and it's a part of the human condition. We're always told to fantasize about the future, or to worry about the past, or to worry about the future, and we're never actually present, and that stops us from being aware. So when it comes to people transitioning into Breatharianism, they're doing it because they're becoming awake and aware of what's going on. And they won't stand for being unconscious eating. They won't stand for that. And because of that, their body slowly adapts, because it's a slow not standing for that. It's, okay, I'll just try a little bit, and you relapse. And it's good that you do, because it gives your body a chance to bounce back and then to detox. Detox and bounce back and then detox. You bounce back every time you have one bite of something to eat. And then you detox. And you get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner to the point where you're fine and you feel great without eating or drinking. So I'm Ryan JC. This has been Your Potential. It's just what I'm going through. Deconditioning myself once again. It's interesting. I also had to do another deconditioning of bad behaviors. Naughty Ryan. Just bad habits you pick up from negative people, which turn you into, for better lack of a word, an ass. So I've had to get rid of a bunch of that last night. I've been doing that for the past 2 days through different methods. And I feel better, but there's always work to do, and I'm glad I can do it. I'm Ryan JC, Ryan James Cropper. I hope I've inspired you to think, Just think about it. Next time you find yourself drinking something, and you're thinking about drinking another thing before you've even finished that thing that you're drinking, think why. Why am I drinking so fast? What am I getting out of this experience? What am I lacking? What is this achieving? What is this feeling, And I'll speak to you all pretty soon. Peace.